What's up, guys? And in today's video, we are going to be breaking down Oli Zeidler's technique from before the Tokyo Olympics to the Paris Olympics and what I feel he changed that helped him go from roughly, I was going to say roughly, I don't know what I'm talking about, 7th place at Tokyo to winning gold in Paris. So yeah, we're just going to compare some clips. I'm going to break down the footage. And again, I'm also going to try and break it down in a way that you watching this can take home some pieces of value, some pieces of advice that you can go away and play around with and try and take into your stroke. Because regardless of what level you're at, you're beginner or you just won the Olympics, we're all working on the same things. It's just different qualities. But before we get started, for anybody that's new here, my name's Jack Burns. I'm the founder and head coach of Edge Rowing and a former international rower. We work with busy professionals, getting them rowing to the best versions of themselves. We're fairly limited on how many people we can work with, so we spend a lot of time creating really good value that everybody can use. So let's get into the video, and yeah, here we go. So I pulled up some footage. So first off, fuck you, World Rowing. And Eurosport and anybody that has the rights to coverage for rowing, because anytime I try and share footage of the Olympics or of the world champs, it gets taken down through privacy laws, which I guess is fair enough. But at the same time, we're trying to grow our sport. We're trying to help more people. We're trying to get more people into the sport. I feel like when people make content and want to share rowing advice, yes, we still sell private coaching, but that's not the purpose of this video. It's only going to make the sport better. Hopefully, who knows? This video could be pointless, could be shit. But hopefully, when people make content about, anyways, total tangent. I've had to use Henley Royal Regatta's footage. So thank you, Henley, for always letting people share your footage. We have Oli Zeidler, and it's not a coincidence that this was the actual time that you may recognize this guy, but the time that I raced him for about 50 meters before he shot off into the horizon. But this was Oli Zeidler in 2019, shortly before it's 2 years before, obviously, the Tokyo Olympics. But I wanted to share kind of a few things about his stroke that I feel like he was changing going into the Olympics. So before, again, I think he had just come on to the scene in around 2017 or 2018. So he's still, and I think he'd only been rowing for 2 or 3 years at this point. So his technique was super, was already really good for someone who had been rowing for his level of experience. And I think his 2K was around a 5:38 or something, or 5:42 or something at this point. So a lot of power and still technically moving really well. I remember when I watched this race, and one thing that I realized that my face was in the way of that the whole time. I hope that didn't ruin the footage. One thing I always thought Oli did really well was stay relaxed in the face. And when he beat me in this race, I remember one thing taking away was I liked how loose he was in the face, and I tried to really take that with me as I kind of went off racing. And just this idea, I think if you're loose in the face, you're going to be so much more loose everywhere else. And it's quite a good controllable place that we can start to try and bring more relaxation into our stroke. So something Oli did really well. And maybe as you see when it cuts the shots of me as well, it definitely kind of highlights the differences. But, this is a good point here I want to get to about what he was doing, I would say, poorly, that he improved on when he went to the Paris Olympics. So if we look at his stroke here, so his catches were basically a big point where he was, losing speed, if you ask me. He would come up to the stroke here, and he would push, he would start driving back basically before his oars were locked into the water. And if we imagine you just sat at the rockover or with your blades off of the water and not in the water, and you just tried to and you just kicked with this on the stern without actually being locked into the water, you would send the stern that way. So that's basically what I'm trying to explain here. A good catch is about being connected and connecting loosely and efficiently before you push. And the one thing Oli, I think he really improved on was his connection before he pushed. And what we see here, and again, this slowing down of the stroke, he is here. And again, this is more important for the bigger a rower you are, the more powerful you are, the more of a negative impact you're going to have on the stern if you push before you're connected. So this is a big issue you see when a lot of people have really big ergs and they're actually not that good, not as quick in the boat. And a big reason why is because they're not connecting their spoon before they push. So if we look at the position Oli's in here now, shins maybe not quite perpendicular to the water, but near enough, really wide as well. Like that was another thing people used to criticize him for, is that he looked short, but in reality, if you actually look at the angles he's in, I'm 6'1", and it looked like I was rowing long, but compared to the actual angles of the blade was way further reach. But anyways, we've looked at Oli's angle here. This front end position that he's in here, what you want is for your spoon to be locked in the water while you're in this fully compressed position with the seat all the way to the heels. And Oli, as we kind of play the film here, we can see fully stretched out position, but he's already starting to drive back and push back before his blades are locked in the water. And this means is he just kicks on that stern a little bit. All that 540 2K is just kicking in that direction rather than in the direction we want to go. You can see here, okay, he's pushing, and about there is kind of when he's connected and locked. So that meant he's also lost length as well. So his hands are here now, and now with the catch, he's probably lost about this amount of kind of catch or length on the front of the stroke. So two big reasons that you want to avoid doing this is because, one, it kicks on the stern and sends the stern in the direction you don't want it to go. And then two, sorry, I don't know why I'm counting weird here. One is you're kicking on the stern, and then two, you're losing length. A lot of us understand about that reaching out into a long position and being connected there. But if you leave, if you don't connect properly, if you don't put the spoons in first before you push, you're losing length, obviously. But again, someone like Oli, super strong, and already really tall, can get away with it. Essentially, this is what I would say is the main area. So I'm going to get into we'll now compare the more recent footage, and then again, at the end, I'm going to try and give you some things that you guys can go away and work on and try and bring into your stroke. So this was Oli in July of 2024, July of this year. And cool, I'll try. You're still kind of moving around, still thinking it could be better, but generally a good indication of doing this right is backsplash. We'll get to that in a second, but just generally much more smooth on the front, much more time on the front. He's less rushed. A lot of these problems come around from people being afraid to sit out the front for a long time because it's the most unstable part of the stroke. So if you can just be more loose and more comfortable and confident in that front end part of the stroke, it's a big part of getting more connected. Anyways, to break Oli's stroke down now, what he's doing well, we can see here, if we look at this front end position that he's in, I wish it was this shot actually, but anyways, really long, really stretched out. So just to compare the way Oli was rowing before, again, if we just take a quick look back, again, what we're seeing is he drives and opens before the spoon is actually in the water. So you can see the kind of spoon comes up here, and the motion is almost like it goes that way into the water rather than the spoon coming up there and it being that way in that direction into the boat. And you can see the body drives back, the back opens before the spoon is locked into the water. And just generally looking much more tense, much less comfortable, and it's kind of, he gets out to the front and he's like, get me out of here. Whereas again, just looking back at how he was rowing here, much more loose at the front, much more confident, spending so much more time, a good bit more backsplash on the spoon as well, which is what we're after. And the boat is just motoring. So now I want to get a bit more into kind of why how you can get the spoon connected. And I think first off, it's important to understand a bit of like the kind of idea of the catch and backsplash and how it works. So if we think about the spoon, like this, my hand's going to be the spoon, this hand's going to be the water line. When we're at the catch, imagine you're sitting at the catch right now and you're sitting still, and you just start tapping up and down with the hands, and the boat's not moving anywhere, it's stationary. And at full slide, that's basically the motion that we want. You're at full slide, you lift straight up and down with the hands, and if we looked at the blade would just go like that, up and down, and there wouldn't be any backsplash on the blade. So if we then kept that same up and down motion, it's exactly what we want. That straight up and down motion. If we do that while we start moving and while we get the water moving underneath the blade, it's impossible to do this motion perfectly without getting backsplash on the blade. So that's, a big reason as to why we want to look for backsplash when we put the blade in. The only way you can stop yourself from getting backsplash when you put the blade into the water is coming in with the direction of the blade, and that's what Oli's doing. That's what Oli was doing. He was not getting backsplash because he'd come up here, and maybe not the best shot. The reason Oli wasn't getting backsplash was because rather than lifting straight up and down with the blade here, which you do this straight up and down motion, you have the water coming this way, you're gonna get that backsplash on the spoon. He brings the blade in like that, which means he's going back with the body and back with the drive like that, and that's the motion that you get. And it's only sort of when you bring the blade in with the speed of the water that you don't get backsplash and that you don't get connected properly. So when you do this, when you're rowing, especially for the first time, when you do it, it feels really, really weird. It feels counterintuitive. It feels like you're checking the boat. And there is no way that you can put the blade into the water, into a moving boat, without slowing down the boat. All that we can do is focus on minimizing the amount that we slow down the boat. And the best way to, think about how much damage could you do by lightly pressing, a 5 kilo blade into the water versus, in the example of a heavyweight sculler, maybe 90, 100 kilos, sending 100 kilos in the opposite direction. Like, what's going to be more harmful to the run of the boat? And is pushing before you're connected. So the way that you can go about doing this is simply just by looking for the outcome. We could break down the movement, and you could get very focused on exactly how to lift your hands. But it's actually one of those rare cases in rowing where you have the outcome of getting the process right, and we always want to get the process right to get the outcome, but this is actually one of the situations where you can force the outcome, and by forcing the outcome, by forcing backsplash and pushing your blade into the water, you actually are getting the process right. So basically, if you want to try this, next time you're out rowing, if you're in a crew, just imagine you're trying to splash the person behind you. And that's sort of the first way that you can do this, is just basically splash your blade into the water. There's no need to make it any more complicated than that. And once you get the idea of backing the spoon in and creating that backsplash, what you can then do, and again, doing it that way will disrupt the run of the boat, but where the kind of smoothness comes in and where the relaxation and that sort of magic, if you want to call it that, comes in is when you bring in that looseness. And if you can do that backsplash and that placement while being really, really loose, you're going to really minimize the amount of damage that you do to the hull. So first step would be backsplashing the blade in. I don't know why I'm counting with my thumb today. First step is backsplashing the blade in. Second step is doing it while you're relaxed. The third step, which I'd say is a bit more advanced, and again, this is something that Oli did well here as well, but when you backsplash the blade in like that, and when you do this movement right, what will happen is you'll have an air gap on the front of the spoon here, and it takes a bit of time for that water to fill up before you can push. So what you want to do is make sure that that water fills onto the front of the spoon and then push. And what that feels like is, you pressing the blades in, and just as, the mistake what people will make is they'll back the blades in, and they'll feel that they've backed the blades in, they'll go. And that, again, that's what Oli was doing in the video before, is as soon as he was there, he's like, get me out of here, I don't like it. And what he did that he improved on was that patience, and that patience to place the blade and continue to place the blade and continue to keep moving in that direction while you're waiting for the spoon to fill. And when you get this right and you place on the way forward, you get backsplash, you do it loose and you do it patiently so that you let the spoon fill up, you literally, because the spoon's locked, you literally have no other option but to push away and to step out of it. So again, I don't know what I'm saying again. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. In my opinion, what Oli improved from before Tokyo to Paris that helped him win a gold medal, go from 7th to 1st, was that idea of connection and putting the blade in on the way forward and connecting before you push. And how you can go about doing this is play around with it. Even you don't have to, it's hard to do it while the boat's moving. So one thing you can actually do, I used to do this all the time, is anytime you're like spinning the boat around, just have a look at your right blade and see if you can get that idea of, backsplash the blade in, pull through, and just like while the boat's stationary there, and just start to play around with it. And then as you do that, play around with the timing, play around with the backsplash, and then try, once you get that idea of the backsplash, bring in the relaxation, and then once you felt like you're being a bit more loose, add a bit more time and wait for that spoon to fill as you push. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you think. A bit of a different style of video here. Let me know if you want to do any other reviews of other people. And yeah, hope you have a great one. Like and subscribe if you want us to help you make these sort of technical changes. We do tech reviews that I guess are similar to this when we're coaching people one-to-one. And if you want to apply to our coaching and see if you're a perfect fit for our coaching, then I'll put the application form in the bio. But if not, like and subscribe. We'll keep these videos coming. I just enjoy making them regardless. So let me know what you think, and see ya.